even if we don't have a booth or anything, if I run into somebody, I want to feel like they are getting the Challengers experience. Like what we do at the store, I want to try and like bring that with us a little bit when we're meeting people.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. Highs to approve, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the Challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the Challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Del Bush.
Dal.
Del.
W. Dal Bush.
You know how next week is a massive DC week?
The week of the March 19th?
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's an insane...
It's like almost, I think our bill is like almost triple what it was like a week ago.
Yeah. It's 50% higher than an average bill.
It's just huge.
Well, the following week is that, but for Marvel.
Yeah, I looked ahead a little bit, and because with PRH, you can see ahead like how many individual items you're getting in an upcoming initial order shipment.
Yeah, it's a record.
It's pretty high. And it's weird because
to my knowledge, it is the highest quantity single issue PRH order we've gotten.
Looked yet, and I should, to see what's in there, because like I would expect it to be like, oh, Wonder World Under Doom, but like no, that's this week.
I will tell you.
What is it?
FF Godzilla.
Okay, we're getting a lot of that.
Ultimate Spider-Man. Okay. Ultimate Wolverine.
Okay.
Uncanny X-Men.
I like you're doing decreasing orders of copies that we're getting probably.
The
lower. Thunderbolt.
X-Men, Manhunt, Omega.
Okay.
Those are the big ones.
That's big stuff. And I mean, like, this week from Lunar was 2 different Absolute puts, Absolute Batman and Absolute Flash #1, Saga.
You say this week, you mean this upcoming
March 19th.
Yeah.
So like the comparison of like a big Penguin Random House week to a big Lunar week, kind of what the Lunar side of that would look like. Speaking of Penguin Random House, I just saw last night.
Yeah.
IDW's going back to press on Godzilla.
Yes,
Chicago.
I was going to mention that. Yes.
Cover by Caroline Cash.
Yes, the incentive cover.
Oh, see, when I went last night, PRH didn't have a cover up for it.
Yeah. Oh, I assume it's the incentive cover. I don't think it's. She did a cover, but it was an incentive cover that.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if it was incentive because we didn't. I think we qualified for all the incentives. I thought.
Interesting.
I don't think there was a 1 to 100.
There definitely was a Caroline Cash cover.
Okay.
I remember seeing before. Anyway, yes, you're right.
But yeah, that's pretty exciting. I have no idea what we're going to order yet, but we have to put our orders on a Monday. So we should figure that out.
But going back to the 26th.
Yes.
There are 17 #1s.
God damn.
We don't have the Lunar information, but looking ahead to the new #1s from Lunar.
Yeah.
Absolute Martian Manhunter.
Sure, we're in that phase, yeah.
Yeah. It is
the good news is it should only be Absolute Martian Manhunter. I don't think like the following week will be 2 books again. It'll be like Absolute Green Lantern and Absolute Wonder Woman probably, I think. That's how that tracks.
There are at least 4 Image #1s.
Oof.
But
those are a real mixed bag. I mean, there's stuff where we get like 40 or 50 copies. Like we got a really high number of Assorted Crisis Events #1. But then there's stuff like Hive #1 where it's like 12 to 15
so
copies.
there's one of those Kids #1.
I'm sorry?
Kids #1 from Image.
I don't even know what that is.
Right. That's my point.
Okay.
But also
like there's Image #1s that we don't even carry for the shelf anymore.
The Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss #1s.
Oh, geez. Lots of
both then. Yeah.
Like the Ninth Circle oversized books from Image, the Garth Ennis horror sub-imprint. We don't carry
Yeah,
those for
the Shrouded College.
At Shrouded College, we carry like a few copies. Like even for the last Shrouded College thing, we did a few even late in the run. But like the Freddy the Fix, Blood Train, whatever the next one is.
Yeah, we learned the hard way on those.
Blood Train we got killed on. And even that we didn't go high on, but I don't know if we sold a single one off the shelf. No one cares. And also they're oversized. So they take up a bunch of space on the shelf. Why bother, man?
One of the things that I thought was hilarious about Blood Train was the cover.
Yeah.
Is the second to last panel of the book.
Amazing.
It's not an original piece. It's just a panel pulled out. Yeah.
All right.
And it's the second to last panel of the whole book. Like, oh, they're almost giving away what.
And I don't want to get too off track because I know that you probably are going somewhere with all this, but one of the things that I sort of, and I'm sure I've talked about this sporadically over the years, but it came up again in my brain fairly recently. I really hate how many one-shots there are.
Yep.
I absolutely hate it. The amount of stuff that we get that does not have a second, third, fourth issue that we can sell people on, nothing we can subscribe people to, everything is just, I hope you enjoyed the sales on this one issue because it's never going to happen again, is like, it's so not worth my time for a lot of it. Like, there's obviously something like Godzilla versus Chicago, which is a one-shot, that we will be able to sell for probably as long as we can keep getting it.
Yeah, that is something that has already by nature earned its shelf space. And also, there are so many Godzilla books out and coming out that there's a dedicated Godzilla section in the G's.
Yeah.
So just shuffling around what goes where, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not taking up a dedicated space to something else.
It's just all of the Marvel one-shots and all the Image one-shots and all of the DC one-shots and all of the stuff where it's just like, if it hits and we sell out, great. But most of the time it's like, oh, we guessed wrong on this and now it has 3 weeks to sell and everyone's forgotten about it. Everyone's moved on. There will not be a second issue that will make people look at the first issue again to sell it. So unless you absolutely love it as a retailer and can push it and promote it, it's like, why bother? Like, there's so much stuff that I feel like I'm going to be looking at in the catalog and in the FOCs. Just saying, like, it's a one shot. I don't care. I don't care if we potentially miss out on some book that people are going to be excited about because there is no fandom for it. There's no additional sales that I'm losing by not carrying it. There's just a blip that I could just as easily move people to a different blip. It doesn't matter.
There's a Deadpool versus Wolverine, I don't know, one-shot, series, special, whatever.
There's several.
Coming out on the 26th that I don't even remember.
I think it was they did a lot of Marvel Unlimited exclusive stuff.
And that's what I assume that is because
redoing. Like,
your orders were 6 of the A cover and 2 of the B cover.
And I'm sure the B cover were both
special
for
orders,
subscribers.
Yeah, once I saw 6, I'm like, oh, that is just some online reprint thing that no one cares about.
Yeah, and I mean, we got a bunch of those on the shelf. We still got copies of Alligator Loki. We got copies of the Pet Pool special. We've got the Pool Illuminati that's coming out.
Yeah, that's the week of the 26th.
Yeah, and it's just, again, if you guess right, you've sold 4 or 5 copies. And if you guessed wrong, you've wasted money stocking 4 or 5 copies. Why gamble on it? What's the point? It's one thing if it's the first issue of a series where it's worth gambling 3 or 4 copies because that could turn into 3 or 4 more copies every month for the next few months.
Right. Or
with a one-shot.
There's a perennial one-shot.
It doesn't go anywhere.
The first It's Jeff one-shot.
Sure. And again,
we never knew there was going to be more for sure.
And there's outlier stuff where, like, 1, we know there's a built-in audience for it, or 2, we know we can push it. Like, It's Jeff maybe didn't have a huge organic audience to start with, although we know a lot of people that shop at the store that because we've pushed things like Gwenpool and Guru Hero stuff over the years that people are ready for it. But I knew I could sell It's Jeff to people. I knew if I put It's Jeff on the shelf and said, oh my God, this is great, you should take a look at it, that it would sell. And like, I take a little bit of pride in us being way ahead of the curve on Jeff stuff, of being a store that could sell 50 or 60 copies of It's Jeff way before he was in a video game.
There were retailers complaining that the most recent reprints of It's Jeff are already unavailable.
Sure.
And all I thought was, not here.
Yeah. I mean, we will run out, but like I told you when you had mentioned that to me, like, the collection's coming out in like 3 weeks. Like, I appreciate Marvel even going back to press in the aftermath of Rivals to give us 4 or 5 weeks of being able to sell Jeff books before the collection came out. But they're not required to keep the individual $5 or $6 comics in print, especially when they're keeping, hopefully, a $20 collection in print.
Did you order 100 of those just to be safe? Do you wish you did at this point?
Yeah, we'll see. I never want to go super high on initial orders for graphic novels because the whole point of a graphic novel is that you can reorder them at a little at a time. You order, if you're going to sell like 60 or 70 in a year.
Windhorn, and
that's where I was going with this, was you order 60, you're going to sell 60 or 70 in a year, but you order them in 6 batches of 10. You don't order 60 copies because that's a huge outlay.
And you got to store 60 copies.
And it's going to take you 9 or 10 months to sell those. But now, we're finding out frequently that like stuff is immediately selling out. And I mean, with potential tariffs and economy stuff happening this year, I don't know how likely a lot of that stuff is to go immediately back to press and then get shipped back out to stores. So I mean, there might be some books coming down the pike in, the summertime FOCs that I'm like, maybe we order 20 copies of this.
Yeah.
Because we know we can sell 10 in the first week, and then it's like, I don't want to have to worry about, can I order 10 more?
I can't remember. There was a trade from Lunar recently that I don't remember what it was, but whatever it was, the subscriptions hadn't copied over to it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, and it's something we would order a decent size of, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, here's a plug-in number for now, but let me go back into Manage Comics and see what our subs are. Oh, more than my plug-in number. Okay. Let me adjust this.
Do you remember, was this like an original graphic novel?
No. It's like the next volume of something that hasn't been collected in a minute.
Transformers,
not Saga. I don't know.
I think we got a high number for that.
I don't remember what it was.
Okay. Well, hopefully I'll notice it when we hit FOCs. But yeah, it's...
But I mean, I went back and adjusted my
sure.
plugin number. So
but I just mean, like, if they still don't copy over when we hit FOCs and I don't know what the sub numbers are, I might look at your number and go, like, that seems really high. Yeah. Especially if it's volume 3 or 4 of something and I don't see any subscription numbers, it'll be like, I usually don't go down on your initial order numbers. Like, whatever you put in is like, that's the floor, and then we go up from there if we need to. But there's sometimes, especially for later volumes of graphic novels, where I think, like, man, we still have copies of, like, the last volume from initial order that we have not sold through yet. Because we see such a rapid drop-off in volumes 2, 3, and 4 of graphic novel series for first week sales. Eventually, over time, it catches up. People, you'll never sell more than the first volume. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
But, like, you will see more and more people coming in who are getting, Transformers Volume 1 and then come back for Volume 2. So even though first week for Volume 1, you might have sold 10 or 12 copies. First week for Volume 2, you're probably going to sell like 4 or 5. And then you will eventually sell more and more and more.
Sure.
And so the difference between Volumes 1 and 2 lifetime sales will be negligible, but the first week sales will always be very different.
A lot of the people that are trade-only people don't come in the store every week and aren't going to notice a book on the New This Week wall.
Yeah. I mean, that was a hard lesson for us to learn on image stuff, because we would frequently see stuff where it's like, oh man, like we could look at our first week, second week, third week sales for volumes 1 of a big image book like Monstrous and be like, man, we sold this many copies. Well, clearly there's an audience. So like, we'll go down a little bit, but like maybe we'll go down like, 25% or something. And then we would find out that for the first week of the next volume, we would only sell 25% of what we sold the first week of the last one. So it's like, oh, now we have like 3 times as many as we should. But again, they eventually sell them. But we
book like Monstrous for sure.
For image stuff that now we can order from Lunar on a pretty quick, like 5 or 6 day turnaround, we don't necessarily order super high for the first week sales for a later volume of a book, because we can just order a couple more copies for next week and really not miss out on too many sales.
Using Monstrous as an example, do you think that we sell more volumes of an individual trade than we do of all of those single issues collected in the trade?
I mean, not combined. Like, to put numbers on it, like we probably sell, for a new volume of Monsters, we probably sell 10 or 12 in a calendar year, or just a 12-month cycle. But individual issues, I don't think we even have 10 sales for an individual issue.
I think we're actually at like 13 as our subs for that.
Maybe.
12 to 13.
Things have been going up in ways that I'm not paying attention to. And like, we even stopped carrying Monsters for the shelf because, like a lot of image books, there are no casual readers for it when you get to issue 50 something. Like,
but they did an overship for the last.
Yeah, so we stocked it for the shelf. They gave us a few free copies.
We stocked it.
Yeah, I mean, we put it on the shelf. I didn't throw them in the garbage.
I know, but saying we stocked it made it be like, we made sure to have some for the shelf.
We did not. And as an experiment, it's nice to see, like, look, as Power Fantasy, I think, put on the back of the book in the indicia for the most recent issue, is someone reading this after reading the trade? Are they buying the first issue of the next arc because they finished the collections and they want to start reading it single issues? And like one extra person, we sold 1 copy off the shelf for Monstrous. So like, we would probably just go back to not carrying it for the shelf, because again, if you're only selling 1 copy, what if that person doesn't come back next month? Then you sold 0 copies and you wasted your money.
What if they're just visiting in town?
And even, again, if you sell it, which is the best case scenario, you made $2. Like, this is not worth it.
Going back to It's Jeff for a second, for a store that, as you had said before, was all in for Jeff, if I may take another company's, 2 different companies' taglines and use it over to Marvel. For a store that has sold collectively hundreds of copies of the It's Jeff singles.
The 3 issues, yeah, for sure.
Putting the 2 new reprints on the front counter,
Mm-hmm.
there are still people to this day saying, "Oh, what's this?"
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't know what Jeff is.
No,
so
and like the reason I put that there was because in Marvel Rivals, I didn't want people to have to look at the entire wall of comics, you know.
Also because we rack It's Jeff under I.
But here's the trick: because it's so late in the eyes,
It's right by J.
it's under J for Jeff as well.
Yeah,
it works both ways. It's a very clever title for Marvel, calling it It's Jeff.
they can just call it Jeff.
That's what the next one is. It's just called Jeff the Land Shark.
Yeah.
That's the Kelly Thompson narrative miniseries.
They should have that the It's in parentheses.
Maybe.
Because, I mean, we'll still put it with the It's Jeff books. Or we move the It's Jeff books over to
Again,
Jeff.
I think it'll just be right next to it. As long as there's not a J.A. book, I think we're good.
Yeah, Jupiter's Legacy. Jupiter.
Jupiter.
Jupiter. Yeah, so it's great that people are still, like, not even people that are Marvel Rivals fans saying, "Oh, there's Jeff." That literally people look at it and say, "What is this?"
Yeah, obviously we want to make it available to the people who are fans of Jeff from Marvel Rivals. It's Marvel Rivals, I almost. Or people
It's Marvel Rivals
who are terrified by Jeff because of Marvel Rivals. But Jeff just works on a basic comic book entertainment level. You can just put it there, and people who don't know what Jeff is are like, "What is this?" Because Guru Hero's art is great, and the concept of Jeff is really fun, and it can appeal to anybody. You don't need to have any grounding in his backstory. It doesn't require you to buy more stuff. You can pick up either of the Jeff books, and it's like these are just cute little gag strips.
They're already right here in the podcastatorium. 5 iterations of Jeff collectibles that I can see.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm missing any.
No,
One with an inner tube.
I'm going to be missing stuff because they've started to pump out more Jeff material, and I just went, I can't do this. I cannot be, as you put it, all in for Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to be a little bit more sparing down the line. And much like the Gwenpool stuff, like they make more Gwenpool stuff than I own, but my appeal, my connection to Gwenpool is the Guru Hero design. So if they're not going to do it in a Guru Hero design, I think I have one Marvel Legends figure that's in like a generic Marvel style. And that was just because it was the first figure they put out. I don't like it a whole lot. It's not a good design. But like I instantly bought the Mafex figure, which was the Guru Hero design. It looks great. It looks like their art come to life.
And a Scotty Young statue as well.
I did. That was a cute one. I didn't even know they did that. And I actually got that, I think, from C2E2. It was part of their, like, when you checked out for your ticket for the year.
Yeah.
It was like, here's a bunch of bonus stuff. And it's like, oh, t-shirts and stuff. And then one was like a Gwenpool Scotty Young statue. I'm like, what? Yes. Okay, sure. Of all the places I expected to buy that, it was not the online checkout for a C2E2 ticket. C2E2 is coming up real soon.
Yeah, and finally there's somebody I want to meet on Friday. That'll be there Friday when I'm there Friday, because I'm just there Friday.
Classic comics artist, Konosuke Takeshita.
Classic comic artist. Well, he's more of a manga artist.
The alpha, Konosuke Takeshita from AEW. Would you say at this point you are more inclined to be excited to meet media guests at a comic convention than comic artists?
No, if the right comic artists were there.
But your list for that is real low. Like, I feel like the amount of people that you would be excited about for the comic side of things is a much smaller list than the amount of people you would be excited about for the media side of things.
Probably.
Is that fair to say?
I mean,
and that's just a nature of you going to comic conventions.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people throughout
decades.
My life. Yeah.
You've met them all. Your bucket list for like comic people I'd love to meet is very low.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, same for me. There's not a
was probably never going to do a show again. He's a very old person.
Kirby probably don't.
Mike Zack apparently doesn't need to do shows anymore. I would love to meet Mike Zack.
Why doesn't he need to do shows anymore?
Apparently he came into a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'd heard on the art market. And also, it's probably good that Mike Zack's not doing a show, because I would want to drag my covers of Mike Zack Marvel Artist Edition to get that signed.
Sure. I mean, that's the book for sure to get signed.
Yeah. Obviously, for me, he's a very specific Cap artist.
Yeah, I mean, a
lot of people, he's a Secret Wars artist.
Yeah, I don't, I mean,
Cap's also in that, though. So
for me, the Mike Zack thing kind of begins and ends at that Captain America Annual number 8.
Okay.
That cover. Oh my God.
Sure. It's a great cover.
It's so good. And like, he's gotten so many commissions over the years of him. It's, for people who don't know, and you can look it up online, it's Captain America Annual number 8. It's Wolverine and Cap, and it's Wolverine like striking his claws down Cap's shield, the black background.
So
it looks so cool. Yeah, it's very, very cool. It's a great design.
Because it's adamantium on adamantium and vibranium.
Yeah. So because of the success of that, like I think there were a number of years that he was doing the convention circuit before he came into some money. And he would do these commissions and these like different art prints that were basically that layout, but different characters. Like one was like Batman Cap, whereas Batman with a batarang slashing down like Wolverine's claws and the shield. And that's super fun.
He did come to, what was that other show that was here for a
Fan
minute?
Expo?
Yeah, for Fan Expo one year, but I couldn't go, and I realize now that I should have just gone.
Yeah. Well, you never know. I mean, who would have thought that something good would happen in his life that would make him not want to do shows?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it is definitely more the 80s artists.
Sure. Which there is a dwindling number of them.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, just stumbling across Bob Hall at Artist Alley a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And picking up a sketchbook from him, like, this is great.
Yeah. I think my short list, I think it's just 3 people. Guru Hero, which counts for 2. And Dan Mora. I think that's kind of it.
Well, I mean, Dan Mora you've got a chance of.
Yeah, Dan Mora specifically, it's because I would love to get a commission from him, and he's like the only artist. like Guru Hero, I don't think I could afford a commission, and nor do I think I would get it within a 10-year window. Who
would you get from Dan Mora?
I specifically want him to do a Kamen Rider. I want him to do Kamen Rider Geats 9.
Okay, well, his Power Rangers contract forbids him from ever doing Kamen Riders.
I don't think that's true, but okay.
Well, you'll have to ask him to find out.
I would gladly ask him if I had the chance. But yeah, not a lot of comics people. Like, the one person I'm really excited about so far this year for C2E2 is Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And even that, again, to get him to sign a Kamen Rider.
Yep. I'm surprised you didn't lead with Kamen Rider actor, sorry.
Oops.
Kamen Rider actor.
And fan, noted fan.
Noted fan.
That's how he became a Kamen Rider actor, because he was a noted fan.
I have it in the senior poster.
That said, I haven't really looked too closely at the guest list, mostly because it's always so subject to change this far out. That like they'll add people at the last minute and people will drop out. So I don't want to get too like hopes up on different people or like plan out different things and then find out, oh, that person isn't there. But then these other people that I was excited about, I didn't know were going to be there. So I usually check out the guest list and really make my plans like a week out from the show when I feel like it's pretty finalized.
I figure out who I want to meet as I'm walking up and down Artist Alley.
And then you realize, oh, I should have brought my giant Mike Zeck.
That's right.
Artist edition.
Right. Yeah.
Nope. Oh no. Luckily, you live close enough now to the you could literally leave and come back if you really had to. Yeah, as long as it happened early enough in the day.
I do like that I'm so close to it that we don't even have to worry about distance.
Yeah.
I am a little worried about just the time of the show. Ideally, what we should do, and we're not going to do, is to get to C2E2 like, I don't know, noon? Because we need to stay all day.
Yes. Which we usually don't. Like, in years past, like, we would get there to open, which is like 10. I think the show closes at 7, and we'd usually split like
4.
I mean, as early as 3 if there was something we really had to do. There was, I think, a year where we didn't even make it to like 5 o'clock, and it was just like, let's just get out of here. Or, 5 or so. But now, like this year, I mean, I think even then, I think we're still leaving at like 6 this year.
Yeah, but
there's a wrestling show after C2E2 Day 1 that we're going to be going to, which is across the Skyway Bridge at the Wintrust Arena. So, like, there's no sense leaving and coming back. Parking alone makes it a non-starter.
That's why we get there at open, because if you get there at noon, the lot's full.
Yeah,
you're parking blocks away,
or you're a few levels up.
I don't mind levels up. I mean, but if you get there by noon, that whole unit is closed.
I don't know. On Friday though, that feels wow. I like Saturday for sure. Like if you show up at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, you might as well, park in the lake. Like that's as close as you're going to get.
I think it was a Sunday I went back, and A and B were completely closed. You had to go to C.
Oof.
And that is a haul.
Yeah. Probably a shuttle bus.
So that's literally why we get there at open.
Sure.
So we can park in the main building.
Yeah.
And then kill 9 hours.
Yeah. Which,
let's look into the panels this year.
I was going to say, for the average fan, it's easy to do 9 hours because there's so many things to do in a day. Like, you're not just walking the sales floor. or show floor for 9 hours. You're going to the booths with different products and stuff. You're like the vendors. You're going through Artist Alley. You're going to do panels. You're going to the photo opportunities. You're doing all of these different things. And so as a result, it's very easy to fill 9 hours. But if you're just doing 2 of those things, you're going to fill about 6 hours, and that's going to suck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, panels for sure.
And a long lunch.
Yeah.
Stopping to sit as much as possible.
Sure. I got to get my panini.
That's right. And your churro.
Yes. My convention churro.
I do have something I'm looking forward to show this year.
Yeah.
Well, like I've decided that since Diamond is so unreliable with the way they ship things.
Sure.
And as of yet, there's still a wave of the Secret Wars Marvel Legends that we haven't gotten.
Really?
Yeah.
What haven't we got yet?
Spider-Man.
So I couldn't remember if they were doing a Spider-Man or not. Cause
Black costume.
Yeah, I figured. Someone asked about that, and I was just like, no, we haven't gotten that yet. And in my brain, I'm like, I just assumed they'd done enough black costume Spider-Mans. They're doing another one.
Nope, they're doing one.
Okay, well, maybe we'll get it at some point, but who knows?
But if we don't get it by C2E2 and it's there, I might pick it up.
That's fair.
I do have a gift in mind for someone for Christmas already.
Wow.
That, well, their birthday has already passed for this year.
Sure.
And I thought of this after the fact, but it's akin to some things I bought. I don't know why I'm dancing around it. She's never going to be listening to this.
Cool.
It's one of those pop candles. Like I got America's
Pop
Ass.
culture candles.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant for a second like a pop vinyl candle. I'm like, I don't know I've ever
those
seen
you just light on fire.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the inevitable thing for Funko because then you have to keep buying more of them. Because like, oh, it's melted down. Now you got to go buy another one.
Oh, I just assume that's how they're going to get rid of their next surplus.
Oh, sure.
Rather than a landfill, just light them on fire. But yeah, there's a specific celebrity candle.
All of their Captain America Brave New World leader pops. Where he's green with a gigantic head.
Yep.
They didn't have in the movie.
And hair.
Marvel's Ruth.
Man, I was so close to getting a Sabra pop.
Uh-huh. Never going to happen.
But also, carrying that candle around the whole rest of the day means, we'll stop at the car before. We'll have to stop at the car before the wrestling show to dump our gear off.
Right, for sure.
We can't bring all that stuff into Wintrust.
Nope.
That's fine, though.
And you usually have your backpack, so a candle. I mean, give it a candle.
A shoulder bag.
Sure.
Yeah. That does mess with the aesthetic of, like, the vest and the tie and the lanyard and the everything, but I've already put my ticket in my lanyard, so I'm ready to go.
Sure.
Also, annoyingly, the stickers on the tickets that say, you must activate this ticket, which you do not have to. It's just a marketing ploy for them.
Yep.
The stickers are impossible to peel off.
Pretty much always, which is so weird because they put them directly over like the image that someone nominally has paid for.
Yeah.
Not always, but usually it's like someone is sponsoring this ticket and you put a giant sticker that either no one will take off because it doesn't matter, or if you try to peel it off, leaves a huge residue, which ruins the image. So like there's nowhere else you could put this sticker or just not put the sticker on.
You can't put it on the back because that's where all the information is.
Right. So you could maybe like not put it on there at all. Like you said, you don't have to activate it. For all the like you have to activate it. You know what happens when you walk in? They look and see if you have a ticket.
Yeah.
And that's it. No one's scanning it.
Nope.
No one's...
There are no barcodes on it. There's no QR codes on it.
There's a QR code on the back, but it probably just takes you to the activate your ticket page.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. The biggest thing for C2E2, as always, is that we've already started getting the phone calls of people asking if we sell C2E2 tickets.
The irony being that tickets have been on sale at local comic shops since end of last year.
And I laugh about it now because right now it's funny. Just the idea of like a couple people calling every day to be like, do you have C2E2 tickets? No. Do you know who does? Why would I know who has C2E2 tickets? How would I know the inventory of every store in the city? That doesn't make any sense.
That's everybody does that. Well, do you know who does buy? Do you know who would have this book?
In 3 weeks, I'm going to be recounting this part of the story and I'm going to sound a lot more aggravated because I'm going to be a lot more aggravated because it's going to be constant phone calls the Wednesday before C2E2. Of people desperately trying to find tickets because by that point, potentially, maybe, it's happened before, a day might be sold out.
Didn't somebody already say that Saturday's sold out?
So, like, if you want to go Saturday, you can't buy tickets, in this instance, if they sell out, from the C2E2 website for on-site pickup they certainly won't be shipping. That deadline's passed. So your only hope is that a store who is selling tickets still has a physical ticket that you can go buy. So people, when they get turned away at the website, will start calling every store in the city. I don't know if C2E2's website has a list of stores that are selling tickets. I could check. Not going to.
I was just going to say, you could look it up.
I could, but I'm not going to. But no one checks that.
I think
people just randomly call stores. They will look on Google for comic shops in Chicago, and they will just start going down the list. And even worse, they will frequently forget where they are in the list, so they'll call the same stores multiple times. You don't have to say, no, I told you, we don't have C2E2 tickets, and we don't know who has them.
I'm not entirely sure about this, but I think only one store sells tickets anymore.
Probably.
I don't think anybody else does. I don't even, like, C2E2 doesn't even ask us anymore. We haven't sold tickets in 5 years.
Yeah.
And it almost every single year has been some sort of hassle. It's not worth the, forgive the pun, price of admission for us.
Yeah,
because we have to collect the money for them and give it to them later, but we have to eat the processing fees, and everybody pays by a credit card.
Right, especially as the ticket prices go up.
Former C2E2 employee once told us, well, just make everyone pay you cash then. Nobody has that.
Right, you had 1 year when we were going to sell tickets, and then we decided not to. You were like, we're going to do cash. There's an ATM at the end of the building.
Yeah.
But then, like, we ended up not doing it anyway. And I guess the bigger thing right now is that I just don't feel like we need to be doing that. Like, C2H has been around for over a decade now. Like, when we were doing it originally, it was a new show, and we were like, we got to help this show survive. Like, we want there to be a show like this in the city of Chicago, not in the Chicagoland area, accessible by CTA, but just something where, like, it was in Chicago, and people who live in Chicago could easily get to it. And the first few years, it was like, yeah, of course we want to sell tickets. Like, we want to promote the show. Now it's like, I don't know that you need to do that.
Yeah,
the show exists.
They don't need us.
It's an institution. I'm sure ReedPop would feel differently. I'm sure they feel like they still need to promote the show, and I would maybe argue that they do, but not in the way of selling tickets at a comic shop, because comic shop people probably already know about it. They've been going to it for years. They've been bringing their kids. Where I would like to see ReedPop promote the show better is around Chicago on CTA buses and trains. I would love to see more ads. They've done it in the past. Yeah. I haven't seen it in a few years.
Okay.
There were years where I remember being on the Western Avenue bus, and they would have a little sign of, like, the C2E2 show is coming up, and here's a major guest that's going to be there. But, like, yeah, man, I'd love to see it on the Green Line. I'm on the Green Line, like, 3 times a week, 6 times a week, 3 days a week. And that the Green Line goes right by McCormick Place. That's the train you take to get to McCormick Place.
Yeah.
Like, have C2E2 ads on there telling people, hey, there's a show coming to McCormick Place in April featuring these people. I don't expect you to promote comic artists. No one does. We got a flyer from Fan Expo Columbus or something. I can't remember where it was. It was a show that was far enough away that when we got the flyers from Diamond this week, I was like, nobody who shops here is attending the show. And it was one of those little fold-out brochures, trifold, I think they call it, where it's got 3 panels on the inside, 3 panels on the outside.
Yep.
The first image was what looks like a Frank Whiteley Absolute Superman image promoting the show. But then the other, like, 4 of the other 6 panels were all, here's all the Supernatural actors that are going to be at the show. Here's all the people.
Whoa. Which ones?
Everybody but Dean?
Okay.
Which one was Walker, Texas Ranger?
Not Dean.
Okay, he's going to be there.
Dean's going to be there?
No.
It's Sam.
To Walker, Texas Rangers. Sam's going to be there. Sam and, like, the whole cast except for Dean.
Okay. You mean Soldier Boy?
He's the Boys, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't watch Boys. So it's like that, and, like, here's a bunch of Justice League Unlimited voice actors. Here's a bunch
you mean like Dean?
Here's a bunch of actors who have played Superman. Here's blah, blah, blah. All these different, like, groups of, like, things that you can go see and groups that you can get autographs from and photos with.
What Doctor Who's?
David Tennant, maybe somebody else.
Okay. They did a show somewhere recently did a wonderful companion photo op.
Oh, neat.
Where it was Amy, Rory, River, Rose, Martha.
Wow. Not Mickey, I assume.
Yaz.
Wow.
Yeah. Like just this huge.
That's great.
Oh, and I think Clara.
Okay, that's super great.
Yeah.
But for this fan expo thing, like the most frustrating thing
no
is
Jamie, no Zoe, no Tegan, no Adric.
Adric's dead.
No Susan.
The
no Ian or Barbara.
The thing I disliked about the Fan Expo trifold brochure is that half of one page, one
was a list of comic artists.
Was a list of comic artists, and it was like 3 or 4 bigger names, and then here's a bunch of other people, and it was just like it was so obligatory. So like, yes, we have some comic artists, fine, but don't you really want to see 4 guys that have played Superman? No, because one of them is Dean Cain. And it's just like, that's shows now. And even for C2E2, like, there has been this kind of uncomfortable feeling that, like, you have to have the cast of Breakfast Club. That's what's going to get people to show up. Even though very few, if any of them, have worked in the field of comics. It doesn't matter because it's the Breakfast Club, and that will get someone to buy a $90-something ticket.
Right. They're trying to recapture the excitement of last year's Boy/Girl Meets World reunions.
Which, again,
was huge.
I know people who shop at Challengers who specifically said they bought a ticket for that. They're comic fans. They will go and look at other stuff. They'll buy things from vendors. They'll look at stuff in Artist Alley. They will spend money at the show. But the thing that got them to buy a ticket was the media guest.
Do you remember the first C2E2, the big guest was Chris Hemsworth?
I don't, because I didn't go to that one. I didn't go to the first few because we were exhibiting at the show.
Yeah.
So
you were working the store.
Yeah, I mean, the division of labor was Dal stayed at the store, and literally everybody else who was connected with Challengers would work days at the show. That was it for like the first few years. And then eventually, like, we had enough people who had worked there enough that it was like, oh, I can actually work the show too, and then other people can stay at the store. And then eventually we just stopped doing the show altogether, so I could go to the show as a fan and then work days that I would normally work at the store.
My point was, to meet Chris Hemsworth at the first C2E2 was, at that point, a prohibitive $200.
Yeah.
Now that is, to have him breathe at you if he's in the building.
And that was even before the good Thor movies.
Yeah,
it was just the okay Thor movies.
It was just the first Thor movie, I think.
Was it really?
Yeah.
No, it must have been. Yeah. Wow. The nascent Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to c2e2.com because I'm always a little curious about this. I think
I'm not going to go to their website.
Oh, no, that was just to fact check something I was saying.
Okay.
Because
we don't need to do that.
I don't have time for that. People don't expect that. It would be confusing if I was like, oh, let me tell you the actual thing that happened or the real detail instead of just some thing I've made up in my mind that best supports my argument. I'm sure I've mentioned this before many times. I don't find any specific enjoyment or personal value in the act of meeting a celebrity. I don't care. I will gladly get something signed by somebody whose work I enjoy if they're in Kamen Rider. But like, I don't need a picture with like Hiroshi Tanahashi, and I don't need to like meet or greet somebody who's been in, Andor or whatever. I don't care.
See,
it's not worth the money for me.
I love getting pictures with the wrestlers.
And a lot of people
and David
do.
Tennant. That was the photo op I did.
So photo ops and select autographs is what I'm looking up because I'm really curious who, if anybody, is the high end for this year's C2E2. And it's usually, I would think, going to be somebody who is like a group event sort of situation. You
said Breakfast Club, Dal.
Because there's people on here that I'm looking at that I genuinely don't know who they are. And I'm going to mention the names because people who are listening to this can be like,
photo
what?
ops with voice actors are always weird.
Which there's a bunch of those.
Oh, yeah.
I can sort of tell. Like, I don't know who Charles Vandervaart is. Let's find out. Who's Charles Vandervaart?
He sounds like he was the villain in the Ryan Reynolds frat movies. What were those?
So they don't... Here, visit his IMDb profile.
What were those movies, though?
What was the...
Ryan Reynolds frat movies?
Oh, God, what was it?
Van Wilder.
Van Wilder.
He sounds like the...
Charles Vandervaart is in season 7, currently playing William Ransom in season 7 of the Star series Outlander. So, because you can get him solo for $75.60, which includes the $5.60 fee.
Oh, I see.
Or you can also do a team-up Outlander duo with somebody else for $150 plus $11.20 in fees, or a trio for $259.20, which includes $19.20 in fees. The problem is each of these, like, you kind of have to click on them to find out what it is. They don't just give you a list of everybody. But let's say with John Boyega. I assume John Boyega is going to be expensive.
Okay.
Photo op,
$300
before fees, only $100.
Oh, wow.
So I guess not. Let's Judd Nelson, because I assume the full team up Breakfast Club cast. Yeah, ooh, hi. Estevez, Hall, Nelson, Ringwald, and Sheedy. Any guess what it costs to get a photo with the entire Breakfast Club? Only before fees, $380.
So I wonder if Judd Nelson
down?
is doing double duty, because you could get him, because it's a psych reunion as well, and he was in some psychs.
Patrick, he's also doing triple duty. He was the voice of Hot Rod in Transformers the movie, and I guarantee you there's people who are going to want to meet him for that.
No, but my point is he will do like a psych photo op with the group.
I see what you're saying.
What other Transformer group will there be?
Probably nobody, it looks like. All you have is 2 photo ops. Single, where it's $80 before fees, and then the Breakfast Club. So
wow, he's not part of the psych
He's not
group?
doing the psych
Weird.
one. Yeah, I'm trying to see who the biggest name could possibly be that I'd see on here. Because, like,
look,
Peter Weller's on here, but I don't think that's a big
I'm
deal.
not telling the truth.
Okay, here are the team ups that you can get.
Yeah.
A psych duo, Lawson and Omenson. I don't know who these 2 people are.
What was the first one?
It's these 2. Who are those 2 people?
Oh, those are the 2 cops.
Oh, okay.
Juliet and...
Why would you want a picture with a bunch of...
Because they were great. Timothy Olmanson, who had a stroke, by the way, and couldn't be in some of the movies.
Oh, man. Okay, so the team-ups in reverse order, I'm just going to blow through real quick. Starship Troopers, RoboCop, Red Dead Redemption, Psych. Who from Psych?
No, you just showed me.
No, there's more people than that.
Yeah, like Judd Nelson.
Oh, yes, he is in this.
Okay.
But he wasn't listed on his page. Fuller, Lawson, Nelson, and Omenson. Outlander, both trio and duo, Once Upon a Time. Merry and Pippin from Lord of the Rings. Frodo, Sam, and is it Gollum?
Is that the biggest one? That might be the priciest one.
Well, all 4 Hobbits is one.
Yeah.
The one that's sold out is just Frodo and Sam. There's also Lord of the Rings group, Futurama full cast, Critical Role, Breakfast Club, Baldur's Gate 3 in 3 different versions, and then the Psych Duo. So I'm going to assume Critical Role group is probably the most expensive. Patrick, do you think that or the Lord of the Rings group is the most expensive?
Lord of the Rings.
Okay, let's find out. Lord of the Rings group, which is Aston, Boyd, Monahan, Rice Davies, Serkis, and Wood, with fees, $572.
Okay.
Critical Role, which is Bailey, Jaffe, Johnson, Mercer, O'Brien, Ray, Regal, and Willingham.
Oh, they have more people.
With fees, $464.
Okay.
So I think it's Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
Might be the high ticket for the show with a very high level of people. I can't imagine any single person, based on what we've seen so far, is going to exceed like $400 for one photo.
That's weird. Because I was going to... Never mind. I had a terrible joke that I will not do.
Yeah, I mean, this is... I hope people are excited about it. I know people generally get excited about the Critical Role people. They are doing the Thursday night before C2E2, a big event at Wintrust, which is probably sold out at this point.
Probably sold more than New Japan.
Almost definitely. It's going to be a fuller house for sure.
I hope it's exciting for everybody and lives up to all their expectations.
I hope so. I always want people to have a good time at C2E2. I don't think it does anybody any good for people to have a bad time at C2E2.
2 years ago, C2E2, I only made it to Sunday, and I was there right at the end, and I got like maybe an hour and a half.
And like the wrestlers were already gone?
Oh, yeah. But I mean, at that point, I didn't realize how Pro Wrestling Tees did it, whereas now I understand.
Okay.
You know, you're not just going to find Bordy King behind the table the entire time.
No.
Have you planned your outfit yet, Dal?
I have some ideas.
Red suit?
Maybe. The thing that is the main factor is what the weather's like.
Mm-hmm.
If it's super hot out, I might be like, well, we're not going to go with the jacket. If it's a little cooler or just your average April weather, maybe I'll go with the coat. We'll see. But maybe the red suit, yeah.
Well, usually you do the T-shirt under the jacket.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do that again this year. I think we're just going to go with a regular shirt and tie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What are you going to wear when you meet Tanahashi?
I mean, that's
one of his old ring gear outfits.
No, full Kamen Rider build. Just do that.
Okay.
No, I usually it's casual clothes on Saturday.
You're going to dress as Naito?
I'm going to keep my one eye open the entire time. Keep it tranquilo.
That's fair.
Patrick, yourself? Have you decided if you're going to just wear Takeshita's Oni mask the entire time?
Well, I want his jacket as well.
Sure.
And I don't mean a red leather jacket. I mean his exact jacket.
Sure.
So I need to get it.
I mean, you guys are basically the same build, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Same height.
Same height. Yeah.
That's too bad because I had planned, since we're probably going to be going together on Friday, I got us 2 versions of the Leo Rush jacket to do a Leo Rush Action Andretti thing.
I want to be Action Andretti.
Well, I feel like we should have had this conversation before.
I can't drink water that fast.
You have a month to get ready for it. Because people are going to see in that jacket and they're like, oh, Action Andretti. And then like, do the thing. And you could say, I'm doing the thing. I'm not on TV. That's so mean. It's so mean to say.
I did have my C2E2 haircut planned for that week, the Wednesday before C2E2.
Mm-hmm.
However, Black River is remodeling that week, so they'll be closed. So I just had to bump it to a little bit earlier, but I got to see if Ray can give me the Action Andretti perm.
Can they do, like, you're joking, but can they do a perm there? Do they have the equipment for that?
Oh, you've smelled it.
Have I? Okay.
Yeah.
I never know what I'm smelling chemical-wise. It's coming from there.
It's not a thing they do regularly,
sometimes it's
but
things
they
do for work, and sometimes it's things they do for fun. And I get a lot of different smells coming in through the back door of Challengers.
To be fair, there are some things that they do just for me. They don't do for other clients.
Uh-huh.
And it's interesting to me that they only I can't think of a better way to say this other than work on or service men. They only handle men's hair.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of like coloring or perms wouldn't be happening.
I see.
But there's the occasional perm that you can smell happening.
Okay.
Maybe it wasn't a Wednesday, but there was a perm very recently that just permeated. Again, no
as
pun
you will.
intended. Yeah, so I just got to figure out. Also, that one Sunday when I was there, just walking around in a jeans jacket, and I liked it.
Yeah,
the casual look of it.
Yeah, again, like if I'm there on Friday and we're there together, like it's very much representing the store.
Yeah,
like even if we don't have a booth or anything, if I run into somebody, I want to feel like they are getting the Challengers experience. Like what we do at the store, I want to try and like bring that with us a little bit when we're meeting people. But when I go Saturday, it's like I just want to blend in with the crowd. I'm usually going back Saturday
for a specific reason
to not do work things.
You're not going to work Artist Alley,
right?
Because if you did, every third person would be like, "Dad, where's your suit?"
Yeah, right. So if I go back, when I go back this year on Saturday, it's for Tanahashi.
You'll need to find out when he's signing.
Oh, I mean, the week of C2E2, I'll be blocking all this stuff out. I can't do it yet, but in my mind, I'm like, I got to know the details. So yeah, when I go back on Saturday, it's completely casual clothes. I don't dislike dressing up for the show, but it is nice to have 2 days in a row where I'm not doing that. It's
interesting that we're going Friday to meet someone from New Japan and Saturday you're going to meet someone, because we're going to be able to meet Takeshita before he gets arrested for murder, and then you won't be able to meet Tanahashi on Saturday because he will have been murdered.
Yeah. It is very ballsy of the ace of New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi, to face the alpha Konosuke Takeshita with their disparity in ages and physical acuity. Boy, oh boy. God bless him. This is real, like, Dal getting in the ring with, like, Bordy King, where it's like, you're not going to do real great. It's God bless you for trying.
Speaking of somebody Bordy King size, they just announced somebody else to be on the Windy City Riot card.
Oh, yeah? Is it Willow Nightingale?
No. It's not somebody that we know is signing at the show.
Okay.
It's one of your favorite New Japan people who currently doesn't have a contract.
Uh-huh. Is it Gabe Kidd?
And we thought would be... No, he's already on.
Oh, he's already on the card?
Yeah, he and Ishii are doing maybe a half-hour Iron Man match.
Okay.
Because they wrestled to a draw last time.
I see. Who is it, Patrick? Who's going to be at New Japan Pro Wrestling Windy City Riot?
If it's not Brian Cage...
Lance Archer?
No. I knew you were going to guess that because of
Christian
what they're
Cage?
doing now. Who did I always confuse him with?
Who did you confuse Brian Cage with?
Yeah.
I didn't realize you confused Brian Cage with anybody.
They were before either one of them was in AEW. Jeff Cobb.
Oh, you confused Brian Cage and Jeff Cobb?
Just by names.
Okay. I can sort of
Cage
see
and
it.
Cobb.
Sure.
Both big guys.
The Imperial Unit, Jeff Cobb.
Yes. I wouldn't want Unit to be part of my nickname.
He's an absolute unit.
An Imperial.
Well, that's the joke. It's like he's an absolute unit, but he's in United Empire, so he's the Imperial Unit. Like I think that's sort of clever. I think it's a kind of a clever wrestling name or nickname.
That's fine. So, hey, we had another signing over the weekend.
We did. Gabi Mendez.
We had Gabi Mendez in for her new book, Speak Up Santiago. She's the artist for.
Thankfully, still have a few copies left of, both in softcover and hardcover. Yeah. And they're signed, I noticed.
Yeah, they're all signed.
So if you pick up a copy in-store or off the website, you'll be getting a signed copy.
So here is a horrible story about that, of a stupid thing I did.
Oh, no.
Knowing that Gabi was driving, I offered her a parking space in the garage. And I'm like, here's my number. Text me when you get there, and I will come open it. My phone rings, and it's a cell phone rings, and it's a non-Chicago number.
Right.
So assuming it's a solicitor, like they mostly are.
Oh, my God. Almost every time my phone rings.
Lately, I've been so annoyed that I've not been just ignoring them. I've been messing with them.
Slightly harassing them.
Well, this one, I answered my phone, just put it down. And walked away, did whatever I was doing, came back, and then saw that there was a text 8 minutes ago from Gabi saying she's here, and it's the same number that had just called.
Whoops.
So I immediately ran outside to flag her into the garage, mortified that I just kept her waiting for probably 10 minutes at that point, and then apologized profusely, saying that I didn't recognize the number, and well, I missed the text entirely.
Right.
Because the text just said, hey, it's Gabi, I'm here.
Right.
And she was early. And also I wasn't fully aware of the time because we were pretty busy.
Sure.
So, yeah, that was pretty dumb on my part.
Whoops.
I felt terrible. The signing went pretty well, though. She had a lot of her friends come who are all graphic novelists and creators, and were able to pull things off the shelf that we had of theirs and sign them.
Was she an SAIC kid?
I want to say yes.
Okay.
And hopefully set up some events down the line.
Okay, great.
There's one book that I'm like, oh yeah, the creators of this book were here, both of them. And you're like, oh man, I'm excited for that book. I think it'll do well for us.
Yeah.
Like you knew what that book was ahead of time.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in the catalog and thinking, oh, this is a really good concept at a really good time.
Blades of Furry.
Yeah. It's like an ice skating sports drama with furries. It's just a really good concept.
Drawn by, I think co-written and drawn by the creator who did The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich.
Nice. Which
we had on the shelf. It was one of their friends who said, if the creator of a book that you have on the shelf is here, do you want it signed? Yeah, sure. So they'd like pull stuff off and go and give it to the friends and go, here, sign that. So it wasn't the perfect storm of having Girl Scouts buy everything.
No.
And while I thought we sold more than we did, it felt like Gabi was busy the whole time.
That's great.
And we do have an author signing coming up the weekend after next, but it's for a fantasy novel series. And this is a thing that a PR person I just met wanted to set up with us. So it's we can't get the book. So it's just going to have to be their stock. Fine.
Right.
Fine. Also,
very generous of you, Patrick.
Well, their PR guy also handles Fozzie, so we'll see if that works for anything for Patrick in the future. And then we will be doing a Gene Ha event sometime in April.
Which is really funny because we had a customer that was in a couple days ago, and he was looking around the store and ended up getting some stuff. But he was wondering if we were having any signings soon. I'm like, well, we are. You know, we've got some stuff. It's not, it's a lot of local artists, that kind of thing. It's like, oh, Gene Ha? I'm like, no, not Gene Ha, but Gene's got a new collection of May stuff coming out later this year. Like,
in April. Come on.
If Gene's got time and he wants to do something with us, we would absolutely host Gene anytime he wants. 2 days later, we get an email. It's like, oh, okay. Funny how that works out.
And initially I thought it was a Dark Horse book. So I was composing my normal Peter/Nico email. Then I'm like, let me double check on this. Let me get let me go get the ISBN number. Oh, it's not them. Delete. But then everything worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, I foolishly, when I suggested a date to Gene, didn't even register that Saturday was C2E2 when I suggested it. I'm like, hey, how about the 12th? He's like, I can't. It's C2E2. I'm like, oh.
Also, you shouldn't do it at a store because no one will show up because everyone's at C2E2.
Yeah. But when we're not recording, you and I need to have a small discussion as to what capacity this event would be.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts.
Okay, great.
But yeah, we need to figure out what to get back to Gene with.
Sure.
And then, did you see my emails with Spencer this morning?
I did, yeah.
I made sure to do it through the shared account.
Thanks.
Obviously, I sent it to Torma first, but he's out.
Right.
You got that one as well.
I don't think I did. I don't know if I did. If I got that one, or if I did, I didn't know what it was. But I saw the Spencer one.
The Torma one was out of office.
Okay.
For paternity leave.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Either call my cell, which I'm not going to do.
Nope.
Or email Spencer, and Spencer took care of it right away.
We got plenty of time, so Spencer can handle this.
I feel a little bit bad because I do a lot of store work in the middle of the night.
Sure.
So I emailed Spencer. It was like 1:30 a.m. our time.
Right.
He got to it this morning. And then I responded with, thank you so much. And I'm real sorry I emailed you in the middle of the night. But comics never sleep.
Comics never sleep.
And he responded in kind. So yeah, and that also opens the door for future things of that ilk.
Sure.
That makes it a little bit easier for us.
Yeah.
I like it when the publishers are willing to collaborate in that regard.
Yeah. It's certainly more helpful.
Yeah.
And I mean, my feeling is always, if you're working with a publisher, that's kind of partially the publisher's job. Like, it shouldn't be the job of every artist in the industry to reach out to stores to make these things happen. It's kind of what, like, a PR department should be doing, or a marketing department.
Yep.
Like, that's kind of, that's what they're getting their portion of the profits for.
I had just emailed Peter Nico following up on the results of Speak Up Santiago. Mm-hmm. And I almost in that email put, and I'll be bugging you for new signing in an email directly after this.
Whoops.
But I didn't.
Good thing.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to come up with a completely different signing just to make yourself not a liar.
Well, there's always going to be another signing down. That's the thing. And it was interesting that we're working ahead to all of our Free Comic Book Day stuff now that we have it confirmed that we have Dave Scheid signing, who's writing the Star Wars, the Dark Horse Star Wars book.
Okay. For Free Comic Book Day.
Yep. Yeah. And Alex Rosado and Jedala Lewis doing signing and sketching, both creators who have worked for us at different events in the past.
Yep. I'm looking right now at a Jetty Lewis bookmark.
Yeah. And it was funny because I had emailed her and hadn't heard back. So then I texted, I'm like, I don't want to be a dick and follow up an email with a text, but before I move on to somebody else, I want to make absolutely sure you're not doing this or you just miss email. And she said, what email? Mm-hmm. So it works out. And she'll be participating in our not officially announced yet, but we'll call this a soft announcement.
Sure.
Free Comic Book Night. We are having an event as well.
Yeah, we're going to be doing an after party for Free Comic Book Day. A little 1 hour break so we can tear down Free Comic Book Day and set up for Free Comic Book Night. And
then it is a villain-themed art show called Chillin' Like a Villain, and it'll be original art based off of villains. Yep. We're doing a villain theme. Tim Seeley suggested the villain theme because Thunderbolts is out.
Yep.
And they're,
Thunderbolts asterisk.
Yeah. Well, Thunderbolts, the comic, we're all villains posing as heroes, but we're just doing a small twist on it. And so far we have Jetty Lewis and we have James Zark, who did our I Love You But I've Chosen Comics bag from our bag. It's a tote bag now.
Right.
But the t-shirt from
that became a tote bag.
2021, maybe, I don't know, a couple years ago. The romance novel cover, if you will.
Yeah. The romance comic homage.
And Roberto Fantasma creator Luke Smarta.
Yeah.
Those are the three confirmed, with a whole bunch of other people I plan to reach out to, or the Seventh Corner Gallery will reach out to. I'm not sure entirely how that works. But that is a Free Comic Book Day and Free Comic Book Night at Challengers, a double event.
Two things.
We did it once before. We did a robot art show in the evening one, but that was just a print show.
Yeah.
So yeah, this will be a whole different ball game.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a fun night.
And there'll probably be a ball game because it's May and opening day is in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a baseball game somewhere in the city. The fun thing about doing the free comic book night thing is no matter what other stores you've hit during the day for free comic book day, come by Challengers afterwards.
Yeah.
We'll be having a little art show party.
And I think we'll still have...
Good way to decompress.
Whatever free comic books you have left, they'll be probably in boxes on a table.
So if you missed out entirely, you can
they won't
still
be
swing
like
by.
displayed.
No. But I'm sure we'll have a few books that you can grab.
So here's what I was thinking of doing before then.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we have all those framed prints up on the wall?
Sure. The ones we sell for $35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know how we have our framed Rose Gallery prints over by the new release section?
Yes.
But specifically over the back issues,
mm-hmm.
we have a row of those framed artworks up.
Sure.
Now, the way those specific ones are up is there was a 2x4 that was mounted to the wall. Why
no, because I remember there was a 2x4 there, and I think it's funny.
But we put the 2x4 there because it was to hang the Captain America shields.
Right.
I was thinking of getting a 1x2
mm-hmm.
and running it the length of the new comic wall to be able to nail into that to hang artwork as opposed to always putting holes in the wall.
Okay.
Because one of the things I'm concerned about for what we're going to do with the art show is after the opening night, we're going to hang that work along that wall in the store for 4 weeks.
Okay. The main comics wall, not the new comics, not the new this week section.
Correct. Yeah.
Just clarifying for the people listening. So in their brains.
But imagining that they're going to be all different shapes and sizes,
mm-hmm.
that would mean putting a whole bunch of new holes in the wall for that. But if we take down the prints we have, patch up all the little holes that are there
mm-hmm.
already,
sure.
and then run a 1x2, and then everything will hang up off of that.
Sure.
And then it'll be hung at print height. So when the prints go back up, they just go along across that.
Sure. Okay.
And a 1x2, because it's small and thin and will hopefully be invisible.
Right. Yeah.
But once we adhere that to the wall, then we don't have to worry about
making new holes all the time.
Yeah.
Because everything just hangs at that height for the top of the frame.
We'll just be putting holes in that wood.
Yeah, that's great. It's a good idea.
And again, it should be invisible.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of at the point where structural changes, or I guess changes to the structural not integrity, I'm less worried about adhering things to like the ceiling,
mm-hmm.
because it's like, well, fuck you, we have to do this.
Right.
But for things like for holes that can be visible or whatever.
Yeah. Cosmetic stuff that people can see, I think we don't ever want to have it be something that we're just like, well, we had to put a hole there. Like, you didn't. It's okay.
And I still have a dumb little plan of how to change the giant C we have on the wall
mm-hmm.
to match the current logo.
Interesting.
But I've never just had that kind of it's a Patrick's on the ladder for a while type of thing. And it's usually those days are Fridays only because Saturdays is too busy with customers.
Uh-huh.
And Fridays lately have been way too busy checking and stuff.
This is an expenditure, but it's one that I think would maybe be worthwhile. What do you think about just doing like a decal for the wall?
I think it would be difficult to paint over the red C at a point where it would be invisible.
No, but I mean a decal that just covers the Red Sea entirely.
Interesting.
Because they don't have to worry about paint matching or anything else. You can just be like, this covers
and then a professional hangs it, because I've proven multiple times I'm terrible at that.
And I mean, the good news is it's just going on drywall. It's fine. You don't have to worry about like all the stuff that you'd have to with glass. You just get a vinyl print.
I can reach out to literally their name just left my head twice. The people that did the windows for us last.
Yeah.
I mean, the upper windows.
Maybe we're just pricing it out saying, this is the image, this is the dimensions.
Yeah.
What can you do?
It's not a bad idea.
Thanks.
But I'll tell you now, my idea was to take the red electrical tape we have and just do a whole bunch of little pieces that form a circle so you can bend it. It would look great. It would look great.
I'm going to veto that.
It would look great. You wouldn't even be able to notice. You wouldn't even notice.
Lick a paint. Lick a paint.
Lick a paint. Lick a paint. Well, this is an episode where I need to edit it really quickly and do the write-up really quickly, and I wrote virtually nothing down.
Uh-oh.
And we didn't talk about any comics, so there's nothing I can pull a symbol from.
The only thing I read this week on previews, because they just didn't give us anything, was the new Fire and Ice miniseries with art by Stephen Byrne.
Yeah.
And it's good, but it's like the 7th issue of the Fire and Ice series. Like,
but they have switched powers.
Yeah, but that's like, again, that could have just been issue 7 of Fire and Ice.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the book is not fundamentally different, and it's not the sort of thing where, like,
they're still in Smallville.
If you didn't like the first series, you're going to like this one, or vice versa. It's like, no, if you like the first series, you're going to like this one. If you didn't like the first series, you're not going to like this one.
But
the audience is the same.
How much is
everyone should like the first one?
Farting in it?
0.
Oh, that's
Zero
a
Harley
Joanne
Quinn.
Starr book.
0 farting.
I have not read I don't think we've been given a copy of the Harley Quinn Fartacular Silent But with 2 T's Deadly.
I can't imagine they'd even give us a PDF because the whole thing is it's a smelling book. Like,
yeah.
You can't, how are you going to translate that?
But Joanne Starr has been messaging me telling me how insane that book is and how so proud she is of it.
That's great.
And at the same time, I recently watched a Stephanie Phillips TikTok video where she was talking about her Harley Quinn run.
Uh-huh.
And one of the few things that they changed, she had the word fart in the book. And they're like, you can't put the word fart in a Harley Quinn book.
Wow. And now you're making it the entire Harley Quinn
book. And it's scratch and sniff, too.
Wow.
So, yeah, very interested to smell how that plays out. Instead of saying see, yes, it's smell.
I get it.
Right? Because it's a fart book.
It was a good joke.
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.